So welcome to the BEwell webinar, Navigating the Storm, Effective Anger Management. That's the topic for today. In the chaos of emotions, anger can be a powerful force. So today we're going to explore practical techniques to transform anger into positive change for a more balanced and fulfilling life. From self-reflection to communication skills, our guest speaker, topic facilitator, Destiny Selormi, hope I've said that right, will guide us through essential strategies. So let's get ready to navigate the storm and achieve effective anger management for a calmer, more resilient you. So let me introduce Destiny Selormi. Destiny is based in Ghana. He's a social worker, victimologist, police officer, expert in preventing suicide. He's an expert in preventing and managing anger. He founded Spark Life International, a non-profit community-based organization in Ghana and certified in the US. Its aims are to empower women and children in marginalized communities and fighting the increase of human trafficking. I chose Destiny, or we came together as maybe our destiny was supposed to be, the destiny of our destiny was to meet, because the topic and anger management has been prominent in my life for a long time. As an entrepreneur, I had issues where I had to manage anger, and it was always me against the world. And being a leader with that kind of those kind of issues is not beneficial. Was not beneficial to me, to the business, or to the team. And so very often, because I had these issues, I always felt marginalized. I always felt alone. It was me, and no one else was helping me. So it's only when I got on top of these difficulties I had in the family, at work, relationships, and so on, that things started to get better. So it is an important topic. And so when I saw Destiny's profile and I see he's an expert in this, I invited him to come on the BEwell and throw some light onto this, because I think we all have issues, whether it's small things in the traffic or with husband or wife, or big things in business and so on. I think we need all of this this advice and this how to manage things better. So, Destiny, thank you for being here. And I think you've already got a frame of what you'd like to talk about. So what is anger? How can we manage it and so on? So maybe you could take it away from here.
All right. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And then I'm so glad to be on this event. And you have already introduced myself, and then the connection to get in touch with you. It's a great opportunity for me, myself, and everybody that we would be getting in touch with along our journey of life. So I'm very glad. All right. So this topic is very important, and it's something that has been worrying people individually, in their relationship, at their workplace, wherever they find themselves. So we would look at what anger is, things we need to do to prevent or to control anger, because one thing we have to know is that it is part of everybody's life, but we need to be conscious of that, as we are in a society of human, which one way or the other, people will step on you, you would also step on people. So one thing we have to have at the back of our mind is that it is part of us. Naturally, it is part of us. you or we cannot do anything about it. So that should be at the back of our mind as we are moving forward. Now, with me, what motivated me or what desired me to go into anger management is that I want to see better quality of life. I want to see people being happy. If you are somebody who cannot control anger, always you will not be happy, and then people around you will also not be happy. And then your goal or things you want to achieve will never come to pass or it will delay. So I want to see people being happy. I want to see a serene environment where we can interact with one another, we can laugh, we can play, we can eat together, we can do everything together. That is what I want to see. That is what I desire to see, because if we are not able to manage anger, these things in our society, even in our room, in with our kids will not even be able to come close to us. So these are some of the things I want to see. That is what motivated me, what desired me to go into anger management, uh, to specialize in, and then also to promote development. When you are happy, when you are able to control anger, you would see or you could realize that when you meet your team, when you meet people on decision, as I said earlier, anger is part of us. People will say things that will irritate you. But the question is, how do you control your thoughts? How do you control your actions? How do you control your speech to fit into that discussion that will bring a better result? So I want to see, or I want to see environment where we can promote development. Development in schools, development in hospital facilities, development in recreational centers, development in road, development in human development, and the mental aspect of it. That
So,
people,
Destiny,
yeah,
can you tell us like the types of anger? There are different types of anger, right? Could you,
yes,
could you throw some lights on that so we have an idea of where we are? Me personally, if there is different types, I can actually relate to that on a personal level.
okay. So we have the chronic anger, which um that is the persistent one. The long-term um anger, which some people really cannot control. At a little um maybe utterance of somebody, people get angry. So the chronic one is very serious, and it's something that persists, like it is consistent. There is nothing you can do to um, calm the person down. So when you realize you are with somebody who is who has the chronic anger, you should know how you get close to the person. You should know how you have a discussion with the person. So as I said earlier, if you are somebody who controls anger, things would be very smooth in your life. So when you see this kind of people, they are always criticizing somebody. They are always looking at the bad side of somebody. And at the very little thing that you say, they will get angry. So the chronic type is very serious. And people that go with along with the chronic anger, you will see that even in their management, in their business management, they don't really flourish. People are getting scared to voice out their feelings with them. So
So
we have the
when you say chronic anger,
Mhm.
Destiny, is it something that's very subtle or is it very evident? Is this anger, can this be seen or is it hidden?
it it is both sides, but you would have to identify that for the person. Some people would hide it. Some people would voice it out. Not until you step on the person, you wouldn't know. So some bosses, some leaders, some partners have this chronic anger. And when you identify that, you will know how you control yourself around that person. So I said earlier,
So is it an anger that comes from the present moment, from the action,
yes,
or is it from
yeah,
the past?
their actions and everything will tell you. It's it's persistent. They don't hide it.
Yeah, but my question, Destiny, is this anger connected to something from their past, or is it something that's just that they're not able to deal with in the present?
It's natural with them. It is natural with them, and they are not willing to accept. Some people are not willing to accept when they are angry. They feel it is okay. I have to be angry at you, or I have to be angry at whatever you have done. They are not aware, the self-awareness to accept that I have that um character. They don't accept.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
So when sometimes when you are dealing with such a people, you would have to talk so many hours, so many days for them to accept that I'm angry. I need to calm down. This is not something you have to get angry at. But with them, it is okay. They don't feel anything wrong with it.
yeah, I mean, because for me personally, I always speak in the first person. I don't want to bring anyone else into my story. Is that
Mhm.
anger was a part of me? It was actually, it was a strength. I also saw that as a strength. I didn't see that as anything negative.
Yeah.
Um, it was, it was, it was my demon hidden inside of me. But until it got to the point where it just went up the notch from 0 to 100 in 3 seconds. Like, you know, it was like throwing petrol on fire. Boom. And then it would just, you know, burn me out. It would drain me of all my energy. And then I'd go back to just being normal again in a matter of like 3 or 4 minutes, 5 minutes. I was back to normal again. But I think that's a different anger, right?
Yes, but that is a you see that moment you wouldn't accept that you are angry. You might think you being anger is normal, but your actions, your utterances, maybe would be um, very unhealthy for the environment at that moment.
Yeah.
So I said, if the person is not willing to accept that I have that, then the problem would continue. So that is why it is persistent.
Hmm. Okay. So
Did you get it?
that's the chronic anger, right? So that's
That is
one of
the chronic anger, the
hmm.
long term anger. Like they can be angry with you for 5 years, 10 years. They don't um communicate. They stop doing everything with you.
Okay.
That is the chronic type.
Okay. So tell us about this anger of mine that exploded and then it calmed down all in a matter of time. And so I went from devil to angel in boom. And I thought, Jesus, I'm just going, I've gone crazy. Someone just took over me, took me to another level, made me do things that I would not normally do, let's say. And then I came back very tired, drained, and apologetic, and feeling guilty, and all those things because of what this other person had done.
Yeah. So we will look at it from that mixed anger. The mixed anger that is the chronic, the passive, the overwhelmed anger, the self-inflicted anger, and then the judgmental anger, the loss, and then the unmet expectation. So the mixed type, that is, you can do everything, and at the end you come back to your mind, or you come back to your senses, and then you realize, oh, maybe I overreacted. Do you get it?
I get it. Is there
Yes.
anyone wants to make it? Debbie's put some comments in the chat. If I can read them, or Debbie, do you want to read them? I think even let's go with.
I was curious if Destiny could rename the types of anger.
So we were talking about the chronic anger. That was the first one, the chronic one. So we are now moving to the second one, which is the passive aggressive anger, which is the indirect expression of anger. So somebody will be angry at you, but indirectly, maybe through somebody, or at a distance. So let's use your partner, for instance, and in the house, and your partner is angry at you, you wouldn't know. By indirectly expression, like she cooks for you maybe 4 p.m., but then because of the anger, she can move it to 6 p.m. Maybe she goes to work and come back at 4 p.m. and then says hello. But then when she comes back, she sees you and passes by to the bedroom, maybe do some few chores in the house before coming to say hello. So that is the passive aggressive anger, though. So the indirect expression type of. So this type of people are easily to deal with. You can easily identify that maybe my boss is angry, my friend is angry, my pastor is not happy with me. So you have identified, so you can easily approach. These kind of people are easily approached. You can approach them and ask them if you have done anything wrong, and then you apologize. These kind of people are easy to deal with. They are easy to control, or to be around with. Any question on that?
Can you give us an example, maybe at work, in an office space? What kind of?
Yeah. So let's take, for instance, the office. You used to maybe your reporting time at work is 8 o'clock a.m., but you happen to come 8:30 or even 9. So maybe your boss might want you to sign something, or type a letter, or to deliver a message to somebody. He comes to your office, or she comes to your office, and you are not in. So you come to work at 8 a.m. and then you walk to your boss's office to say hello. Maybe previously you and your boss used to laugh, you used to crack joke, but that moment you came in late, you say hello to your boss, and the way he or she responded or respond, you would be able to identify that maybe I am late. That is why he or she is not happy with me. So, as I said, these people express their anger in an indirect way for you to know, or to identify that he or she is not happy with me. In terms of communication, you should know, you should set a boundary. Your boss has set a boundary. You don't have to cross it. He is your boss, she's your boss. So you crack jokes. So maybe a word comes out from your mouth, and then you can see the demeanor of your boss, that he or she is not angry. He or she is angry. So you can easily approach. At the look of the face of your boss, the word or your utterances can really tell you that your boss is not happy with you. So you can easily or quickly apologize. These type of people are easily to identify. That is when, if you know the person in and out, and immediately he or she is not happy, you should be able to know.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you, Destiny. Stephen's got his hand up. Stephen?
So I had a question, and it relates to, a lot of times people are, um, they get caught in these thought loops of self-critical thought and things like that. My question is, wouldn't it be just a little bit better to ask if somebody appears to be passive or appears to be angry, just to ask them the question, say, I noticed that you walked by without saying anything. Is there anything wrong, or is there anything that you'd like to tell me, rather than right up stepping into the self-blame or assuming that it's about you. Just being curious.
Yeah, as I said earlier, um, we are living in a human society, and everybody you are working with, people you are communicating with, you should know when they are not happy. Now, some people, when they are not happy, you should let them be for some time before approaching them. You should give them space to relax, meditate, calm down before you approach them or before you go to them. And if you try to do it immediately, they will resist. That is how they are. That is how some people are, because they are hot. They are, that moment they are not at the better state of their mind to make a decision. But when you give them the space to breathe, ponder over so many things at that moment, and then you go to them later to approach them on how you are feeling, then they would be able to tell you. But immediately when you try to do that, they will resist. They wouldn't love to listen to you. So you should know when and how to approach it. There are some people, when you go to them, they'll tell you, at this moment, I just want to be on my own. So you should understand them and then allow them that space. You don't push yourself on them. Just give them the space to do whatever they want to think, and then you go to them. Am I clear?
Okay. Debbie, you put some comments in the chat. Do you want to read them or just...
Sure, I'll tell you what I was thinking here. Going back to the chronic anger. In my opinion, that is part of a depersonalization that we have, meaning we aren't living in, like you were saying, Gary, like, who was this person that was doing this, that was so angry? It's like, hello, I don't even recognize myself, how angry I was. That means you're not conscious, and you're not consciously thinking, you're not, making sense of stuff. You're just venting or getting that anger out. And for me, that would be someone who's suffering from depersonalization. So they've shifted. They're not in reality anymore. And the other thing is that this passive aggressive style, we learned this when we were learning transaction analysis back when God knows when, and that's when you're acting not as an adult speaking to an adult, but you're acting out as a child that feels like an adult is telling you what to do. So you're not acting out as an adult to an adult. You're not in a mature thinking state of mind. So your consciousness is actually missing that mature thinking state of mind. And that's why you're passive aggressive. It's like you have to feel like you have nobody's listening to me, nobody's paying attention to me. That's why I have to get aggressive about it. But I'm not doing it in a loud way, because I'm not allowed to, because somebody else has the power over me to do that. I don't know, Destiny, you might, correct me on that, because you're the the guru here on there, the one who understands this better. But this is how I connect the dots for myself. And when we're, I mentioned here, so passive aggressive communication style is typical in situations where transactional analysis is called for. So if you're in the drama triangle, right, and you have the victim, Yeah, oh, poor me, you know, everybody's pounding on me. And that is the person who's generally also passive aggressive. And it's like somebody has to save me because this is the bad guy. And it just, that's where that passive aggressive is really the most distinct in those kind of communication situations. What I would be interested in, Destiny, and this is and I realize we're halfway through the time, is how did you diffuse anger? You know, I mean, not only in someone else, but in yourself, right? I mean, it's one thing to know this, to be conscious about it, but how do you actually diffuse this anger? How do you get someone off of that, you know, I'm not here right now, like somebody, I'm gonna slap you in the next week so you can wake up and stop being somewhere else in the world, you know, when somebody's so angry or something. Do you, you know, I have no idea how to do that. I really don't know, because the emotions go back and forth, right? So if you're in a situation where someone is very angry with you, how do you not get angry? Or how do you diffuse that anger? Or how do you not let it at you or inside of you, or you know, make you angry yourself? So yeah, so I'm gonna shut up now. I just want to listen and pay attention.
Okay, that's fine.
A lot.
So, so as I said earlier, I said we should have it at the back of our mind that anger is natural and it is part of us. Um, it is something we cannot do away with, but we should be very conscious and self-aware that that moment the person is angry, that moment I am angry. Now, when you are angry, you should be able to, first of all, when you are angry, so many things run to your mind. And in that moment, for you not to say anything is better. That is my best advice I always give people. It is better you keep quiet that moment. Or if you can't keep quiet, you better leave the environment. If you can leave the environment, you should either chip in with a different conversation, or you can put on a music. But if you are dealing with your boss, the best you can say that you need some time or some space. Then you can go into your office, relax. You don't talk to anybody. Breathe, take your time. Always be conscious
You're
of the
said and
thing.
done sometimes.
Yes, because when you are angry, and you open your mouth, at that moment you are not at the right sense, the better sense, or anything. Is as if the things that are running to your mind would automatically come out from your mouth. So we should be conscious. We should be aware that at this moment I'm angry. I need some space to myself. The best I always tell people is that just be mute and leave the environment. If you think that will serve you, just leave the environment. It will be difficult. Anger management is very difficult. To be very honest with everybody here today, it is very difficult. But when it happens, before you will react, think of the negative and the positive side. If these words I want to say will it affect the person after? And how would the relationship between me and my boss or my partner, my children, my co-workers be after these words come out from my mouth? So the best advice I give to people is just, sometimes you can just smile and then walk away. Do not say anything when you want to gradually control anger. No, it is very difficult. I'm giving everybody direct communication here. It is very difficult. But then we should try personally the best to be mute when you're angry. Have I answered your question?
You know what? Can I just share something here? Because again, I had these serious issues with anger, right? And one is you want to be right. So when you're arguing with someone or someone's attacking you, of course, the right thing is to smile, but you can't even be smiling because you're going to irritate them more, right? They're gonna sort of go up a gear. One, two, you can't always leave the environment. Yeah, if you could, great, get up and change the environment. Sometimes you're there, and silence also means that you have given the other person the permission to, they're right and you're wrong. So again, it's that thing there. Personally, I used an anchor in a moment um, when I could feel the blood bubbling. It was about to go. It was like, and so I'm talking about once I'd actually studied a little bit of anger techniques. That's what I'm talking about. Not talking about at the beginning when everything was just out of control, but started looking for something like I had with me all the time that I could use in that moment. So whether it's someone, you got a ring, a wedding ring, or you've got something on you, maybe someone's got a chain, something you can touch that actually grounds you to where you are, and not for your head to suddenly just go off into all directions and bring the whole world tumbling down on you. So me personally, I have this very small tattoo that I have on my thumb that I did when I was like very, very small and very stupid. But anyway, and it's with me it's obviously there. It's a tattoo. So I started using that as a technique. So when I was in a situation when I was out of control and the level was rising, I would actually look at that and try to focus on something that was real and not something that was in my head. And so that was a technique I used, and it was called anchoring, to bring me there, make me present. So I don't know if anyone else has any other anchors they use or they have used or heard of. I don't know. Destiny, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so as I said, personally, anger management is personal. It is not a teamwork, but it is a personal decision or management. So what you just said, that is your personal decision or step you have taken to control anger. So individually, we should know ourselves. So I mentioned self-awareness. If you know yourself much better, you should know how to control yourself when you're angry, or things you need to do when you are angry. The fact that it is natural, it can't be controlled. So personally, the anger management, it is something we should try to work, plan to, we should be always conscious. The consciousness should always be there. As I mentioned earlier, that people will step on you each and every day. Even your kids will step on you. But then how do you react? So it is personal decision, personal steps you and I can plan to control anger. So we should have this at the back of our mind. Nobody would control your anger for you. You would have to work on yourself. You would have to work on your decisions, your response when you are angry. So not until you are there, nobody's going to do it for you.
Okay, thank you, Destiny. Debbie, you've got your hand raised.
Yeah. I wanted to actually say something, but Stephen also mentioned it in his comment in the chats, is that if someone is angry and you come up with everything's good, calm, quiet, and stuff, you're just going to exacerbate their emotional response. They're going to get, like, who the blank 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 do you think you are, and go away, and all this other stuff, right? So that's gonna be the response you get. You have to pick people up at the level where they are. It's one of my favorite
Yes.
sayings, is you have to pick them up at the bus stop where they're at right now, and then try to guide that through the communications and take out the let's say the strength or the emotion, take it out. But you're gonna have to first go there where they are.
Yep. Yep. As I mentioned earlier, I mentioned that some people, when they're angry, you give them the space to do whatever they want to do. And if you try to approach them in the midst of people, they might end up even disgracing you before regretting. So when I mentioned identification, you should identify the person you are dealing with. If he or she is angry at that moment, hey, give him or her the space to like say whatever he or she wants to say. And then when you realize the person is calm, then you can approach the person. So you should know the person you are dealing with. That is also very important. Know the person you are dealing with, because if you are working with your boss, you have a partner, you have studied the person for some time. So when the person is angry, okay, if he or she is angry, when you approach, he or she listens to you. If he or she is angry and you approach, he doesn't. So you know when and how to approach the person. So the technique is also needed. When women are angry, I'm just being sincere here. When women are angry, they say a whole lot. But then when you know that when my wife is angry, she speaks out. When she's speaking out, just keep quiet. She would calm down, and then you walk to her and you approach her. So the technique is also needed. The identification is also there. The timing is also there before you can go and communicate. And controlling anger, you should be very good at communication. Your communication skills should be very, very, very good. The two of you cannot be angry. You can't use anger to control anger. If the other person is high, you would have to continue to be calm. Your voice will have to be down. And then you will realize that at the end, the person will even regret. So that is also very important.
Destiny, just a quick reflection on body language.
Yeah.
Body language in anger management.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give us some insights on that? So someone's angry, how do we approach them? What kind of stance? What kind of what should we do? How should we deal with this as a body language approach?
Yeah, so I mentioned identification. Somebody would keep quiet. If somebody is angry, the person will never utter a word. But if maybe some people, when they are angry, you can even see from their walking. Or even some people from their dressing. If somebody is angry and you know that this is not how the person dresses, and the person dress, you would know that that person is angry. So the body language is when you still boil down to the identification. Sometimes the person will not even dress his or her hair and then come to work. So you can approach the person in a nice way. Hey, or boss, this is what I have seen. Is there anything wrong? somebody or some people will voice out, some people will be mute. It still boils down that just give the person space to that moment, let the person feel how she is or he or she is feeling, and then you can go back. So the body language doesn't really to me matter, but what matters is some of the things that comes out from the person's mouth, the person's utterances. So the identification is also there. You should identify, you know the person. No, but maybe when it happens outside, that somebody you do not know that you step on, yours is to say sorry. But not until the person starts to react, that is when you will see that the body language is different.
So listen, Destiny, I know you are many things, a social worker, an expert in suicide prevention. So you're also a police officer.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about anger. How do you deal with anger? Is your anger more than the other person's anger? How do you deal with an angry person, criminal? I don't know. What do you do?
Yeah. So personally, because of my experience, and so let me use this. When we have suspects, okay? Now, when you go to them, because we work in team, some use force, some use actions and all that. But to me, I will become if the person is being brought to the station, so then I approach the person. Why have you done that? What is your reason behind it? And as a police officer, when you are going to arrest a suspect, bear in mind, he is already hit up before you are going to the person. Now, when you go to the person also angry, then something will happen. That is where the struggle will come in and all that. But with my experience, if I go to the person, I sit with the person, I introduce myself, I let the person know of his or her crime, that we want to invite you to come to the office so that we listen to your side of the issue. And most of the time people tell me like, your approach with me is different, and they open up. So still the identification comes in. So my experience, like the social work, when you are working with kids, they get angry easily, but then you know what you want. You know the reason why you are there. So I mentioned the communication skill is also needed. You can't be angry and go and meet somebody who is also hot at his or her voice or her mind. So the best way when you go, be calm. That is most of the approaches I use. When my colleagues are angry at work, I tell them, hey, this is what you have done. You are wrong. Calm down, apologize to the other partner or the other party. So you should try to give the person a direct communication.
Talking about communication, Destiny, as we're coming to the end, I'd like to know, so when you talk about communication, what do you mean? Is it lowering the tone of your voice? Is it the vocabulary that you use? Is it seconding, agreeing with the aggressor, saying, I know you feel wronged and I know that you have a good reason to be angry, but what is the approach? How do we deal with that?
It's not about the vocabulary, but you should be able to communicate in a more simpler way that the person can understand you. As I said, if the person is angry and you are also angry, nobody listens to anybody. So if the person is shouting, it's either you can be calm at your communicating or your communication with the person. Then when you do that, it gives the person some kind of sense that maybe I'm rather being looked at as a stupid person here, because you are shouting, your other partner or the other person is not shouting. So you realize that the person will also begin to tone down his or her voice. So the communication is not about the big or the vocabulary you use, but you should, at that moment, you should be able to communicate in the more simpler language, words for the person to understand you.
You
So
know,
the communication skills is also very needed.
when we talk about emotions,
Mm-hmm.
we often, as coaches, we're said we should embrace our emotions, good and bad. We should feel everything. But am I understanding this correctly? In that, in this case, we should be just putting the anger emotions to one side, or should we also be accepting those?
Yeah, it should be blended. It should be blended action or blended activity, because the emotions triggers a whole lot of things. So it should be blended. We shouldn't ignore one and then pick up one. It should be blended. So sometimes the empathy would have to come in. The empathy, sometimes at some point, the empathy would have to come in. So it should be blended. We shouldn't only focus on one side and leaving the other.
Are you saying empathy, or are we speaking about compassion?
Yes, the empathy.
Okay.
So the empathy in a sense that I said, give the person direct communication. You are at fault. This is what you need to do. You don't compromise because I know you, or because you know the person. You begin to maybe do things to maybe favor. No, if the person is wrong, the person is wrong. You give the person that kind of direct communication.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, listen, Destiny, great stuff here. Let's look at the Debbie or Steve or Mariam, whoever's it. Should I look at the chat and to see what Debbie, you want to say? You've written something in the chat. Do you want to share that with Destiny?
Yeah, sure, no worries. There's a old teaching, and it's I can't think of his name right now, but it's that there are always four sides to a communication, and it's what I'm saying, and it's one side. What you hear is the other side. What I'm trying to communicate to you, the meaning I want you to get from that, and then the fourth side is what actually you are understanding that I'm saying. So those are the four sides of a communication. And I'm thinking, when someone is angry, and going back to my question about diffusing anger, is to first understand where are they coming from. What are they understanding that I am saying? Yeah, you're right. Laugh. I think about, it's really fascinating, the thought that you are work with the police, or you're a police person or a policeman, that I am sure you are confronted with anger 90% of your day.
Yeah. 99%.
And I'm sure, only when you're at the coffee machine, probably. And it worked.
There's a great saying that it just came to my mind, was when you argue with a fool, make sure that he doesn't think the same.
So that is, I said, that is when you use the communication skill.
Right.
So when you use that, the person will realize, no, maybe I'm being seen as a stupid or the foolish person here. So if the other person is shouting, you can just keep quiet and be looking at the person. And nothing lasts forever. At the end, the person would, at all costs, calm down. Then you can begin to talk.
Great. I think we can wrap up with that. That's a great way to actually some sort of control. So listen, Destiny, thank you very much for being here, sharing all your insights on anger management. Thank you to Debbie, Stephen, Mariam, and whoever watches this video. It's been a great session. I'm taking away lots of things from here. The 4 sides of communication. We're talking about saying, hearing, meaning, understanding. Then we're talking about how to deal with strategies like be quiet, leave the environment, change the conversation. So there's a lot that we're taking away from here. Next week's BEwell, we're going to be talking about kindness. Kindness. I have a guest speaker who's an advocate for kindness. So the whole discussion is going to be around that, which we need. Today we'll talk about anger management. Next we're going to be looking at kindness and how it affects us and why we need to implement more of this. So again, thank you very much. Have a great evening, day. Destiny, thank you again. And I look forward to seeing you again in some of these get-togethers that we have.
Yeah, thank you. And then everybody, I'm always available. If you think there is an event that we can do together, just reach out to me again.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice evening.
Right. Okay.